morning, everyone. I'd like to talk about the next generation of commingling protocol. I know Paul's mentioned protocol, Winfried's mentioned protocol, but I'm just going to illustrate a little bit more than what both Winfried and Paul said. It's going to be split into 4 parts. Global race and commingling. Commingling is a platform business, the limitations of ITSP, and the visions and benefits going forward. Global commingling at the moment, all the leading players we've got contracts and agreements with, Amtote, Sportec, Tabcorp, basically PGI, PMU, United Tote. Every one of them we're using, and basically it's the same ITSP with everyone. When I started with the Hong Kong Jockey Club in January 2016, we had 6 customers in 5 countries. Total turnover was 2 billion Hong Kong per year. Now we've got 61 customers in 27 jurisdictions. Turnover for this year will exceed 20 billion Hong Kong dollars. So what's the problem? Well, it's not so much a problem, it's an opportunity. Because what we've got to do going forward, as Paul mentioned, Winfried mentioned, is that IT protocol is just not right at the moment. And going back to what basically Stephen said and what basically Richard said, digitization, 5G, so commingling will become more of a platform business because that's what people are going to use. Therefore, if it's going to become a more platform business, we're going to require certain things. For example, accelerate demand, the racing customer base, wagering, large volume players, accelerate the supply, more tote, more bet types, more exotics, standardization of bet types all around the world. Consolidate the different platforms to a larger platform. We've already done that with Royal Ascot, World Pool, and we're going to be doing it with Dubai going forward. So a seamless platform, a commingling protocol, that's what is required, and that's what the future's got to be, a new protocol. ITSP has definitely served the industry well. It's been there for years. And as I say, from 2016 with 2 billion a year to 2020 with excess of 20 billion, it works. But there's problems there. For example, collations bet by bet, there's no account identifier, so we don't know who's basically actually putting the bets on. And as Paul mentioned also, regulators are getting more, basically, talking about AML, anti-money laundering. So we've got to make sure that we have bet identifier. Exotic bets. There's certain exotic bets that ITSP can't handle. So there's no standardization of bets around the world. And basically, the third one, only wagering transactions. There's no enough information coming through, and that's what another big problem is. It's fine when you've only got 6 customers in 5 countries, but when you've got 61 customers in 27, it makes life a hell of a lot more difficult. So here we go. It's basically number 1, the professional customer management issue. As the host operators can't trace bets for transactions, we've got to find out how that works and how we can basically work out where the transactions are coming from. Because that's where the AML issues come in. Collation cannot track at the moment, so if basically the same customer is betting a significant amount, then AML is going to ask, where's that money coming from? So we've got to basically get a bet-by-bet protocol that we can actually identify where it's coming from. And the third one, which is for tote betting especially, is price crushing near the off. There's nothing worse than when someone sees they've had a bet on it, $5, and all of a sudden, boom, it goes down to $3. So we've got to get a protocol that basically stops things coming in last minute and price crushing. The problem with final collations is a big problem, and zero out especially, because there's nothing worse than basically zeroing out, because it affects everyone. It affects both the host, it affects the hub, and it affects the customers. So wagering coming late like that is not very good. And if the final collation is not received in time, that's when basically zero out can happen. Especially for multi-leg exotic pools, where basically at the moment we use a system called TXLV, which takes a hell of a long time to basically bring the collations through. And if the collations aren't through quickly enough, then it can be zeroed out. So the current method of stop sell is basically not only leading to basically turnover loss, but it's leading to loss of confidence as well. At the moment, as I said earlier about the exotic bets, there are certain exotic bets that basically aren't covered by ITSP, which are very popular in countries and would be popular worldwide. For example, PlacePot in the UK is a very popular bet, can be basically transmitted by ITSP. The County in France, PMU, and again, a very, very popular bet. And in Hong Kong and Australia, the Quartet and the Quaddy, again, popular but can't be transmitted through ITSP. That's got to change because there's got to be a standardization of bets all around the world. What ITSP covers at the moment is basically very basic information between the host and the hub. It basically gives the field size, the collation, exotics, totals, and the result for the first 4 places, and then the payout for a dividend of each race. That's not really enough, because the problem then is that basically the host has then got to get in touch with the hub, because there's no information regarding the provisional runners, final entries, final declarations, the going and the weather, scratches, and racing information like reserves, jockey changes, gear changes, weight changes, trainer changes. None of that ever comes through. So what you've got a situation whereby you've got the host and the hub working together to try and get that information by either email or phone. And as I said earlier, fine when you've got 6 customers in 5 countries, but when you've got 61 and 27, that's too much information. And there's not enough information coming through. And what that then does is basically puts pressure on the people who are working in those areas. In Hong Kong, it's BOC, Betting Office Control Centre. And when people are under pressure like that, that's when human error comes in. And human error means stop sell. Human error basically means people don't get on. And that is why we've got to get the ITSP coming through, so we take the human element away from it. If you look here, basically the declared starters, form guides, race cards, too much. So what we've got to look at is basically the industry getting together and coming up with a protocol that basically supports everything that we need to go forward. So it basically supports bet-by-bet transactions with a customer identifier, so that if we've got problems with regulators regarding AML or anything else, we can basically put them in touch with the hub and say, look, you tell them who it is. We don't want to know, it's your customer, but you tell them who it is. At the moment, it can't happen. Support more bet types, especially as Winfrey mentioned, which is his favourite, is a global bet. That's not here at the moment. But there's even bets, as I said, like PlacePot, Quartet, Quaddy. That's not basically supported at the moment either. And also, basically supplying all the information required. All the data, all the details, everything. So it comes from hub to host, and that's it. There's none of this basically using iPhones, basically email or whatever to get that information. So that's what we've got to do going forward. Again, Stephen mentioned it, but basically stock exchange and everything else. Financial service industry is a good benchmark. They can do that all at the moment. So why can't we? The benefits would be for everyone. There would be better transparency, better control, especially the bet-by-bet protocol, better management of VIP and professional customers because you'd know who your customers were, which means that basically be higher profits. More turnover because you did more exotic bets, and the exotic bets would be standard all around the world. Again, more turnover, more profit. And also the possibility of creating not only the global bet, but having world pools at more tracks. So that's where we've got to go. So in conclusion, a global collaboration will effectively unleash untapped business potential in the race and commingling business. And as a platform business with 5G, as Stephen and Richard said, key stakeholders would endeavour to drive a new generation of for that protocol, both enhancing transactions and data, with a view to promoting better global commingling business, profitability, control, and governance. And that's me just finished, on time. Thank you.